What up? So, season 1, episode 3. Last episode, Ford revealed that he had something up his sleeve. Maybe we get some more about what that is. Not sure if we will. The man in black. I understand what he's doing. No idea what the end goal is. And this is something that I appreciate about this show. As you're gaining more knowledge and more understanding of the world of this setting, the less you know. The more knowledge I'm gaining, the less I know. And the more I'm trying to figure things out, but it's leaving me curious. And I really do appreciate that about this show so far. So we're going to go ahead and start this episode.
Analysis. Why did you ask me about my son?
We've been talking for some duration, and I haven't asked you a personal question. Personal questions are an ingratiating scheme.
I see. Continue, Dolores.
It's what I suspected from the last episode. He seems to have noticed that every once in a while she's asking something she shouldn't be, but it seems as though sometimes that could be part of her repertoire. And then sometimes it's like, because in the last episode, when she asked, did he do something wrong? He looked crazy. This time, he went along with it, but then he thought about it and asked her, why'd you ask about my son? I think, oh, wait a minute. He's making sure that if somebody else is communicating with her or doing something to her, they're not, influencing her to try to get info on him. Okay. Okay, so that's messed up because that should be a nightmare. That shouldn't be something she's seeing during the day. At least as they designed it.
Looking for desperados.
Yeah.
If you're amenable.
Just like what I said last episode, some people are so preoccupied with the debauchery and all that shit they get away with. They don't even take part in the games and shit. Like my man just showed up and he trying to go fuck again.
You've been preaching nonstop about all the narratives in the park, but all you've done since we've arrived is fuck. And
Yeah. I'd rather him not even come. Liability. He just.
We asked you about whether Ford was going to be a problem, and you assured me he wasn't.
Well, I can't tell you what I don't know.
Exactly. What the fuck are you talking about? The bitch acting like he run the man who run shit.
Switch to analysis.
Is that who I think it is?
You didn't report.
It is him.
Unit self.
The dude from GTA.
Do you see that?
He's talking to someone. Who's Arnold?
What?
I pulled the narrative logs. All 6 of these hosts were part of storylines over the years in which they killed Walter.
Oh no.
The only thing stopping the host from hacking this to pieces is one line of your code.
Exactly. Like I got that after the first episode. Like I thought the way she thinks about them in this show in the first episode, I'm like, oh, dickheads with guns. And now I'm like, no. They need it. Y'all need him on that wall. Did the dickheads not wipe her memory? Or is it just she's suffering from the same thing as Dolores? Yeah, he was laid up against the glass. Holy shit.
Let's not go someday, Daddy. Let's go now.
Yeah. They're redoing it, but it's clearly playing out different. Because that's in the first episode where I thought he was a newcomer. And isn't this where they pulled in and the guys with the milk were there? This is going to jog her memory of that situation, though. I know she put the pistol back in the drawer, but that was the mom dying. Oh, that's crazy. That's fucking beautiful.
Your job is not to protect Dolores, it's to keep her here, to ensure that the guests find her if they want to best the stalwart gunslinger and have their way with this girl.
You're supposed to do that.
A fiction which, like all great stories, is rooted in truth, starts in a time of war. Wyatt.
Wyatt? Who's Wyatt?
Do you remember now, Teddy?
That's so crazy. He just did a file share, an airdrop with him.
Started down near Escalante. Army was sent to put down the natives. Bad business.
So Wyatt was a sergeant out fighting on the frontier against natives, deserted, came back with some weird ideas, talking about God spoke to him and shit.
Promise me you'll come back.
I promise.
That's crazy to me that Ford would update him for the story and not her.
I'm gonna come back for you. Someday soon.
Someday soon. Someday. She don't like that someday shit. The bear with that symbol? Do I know that symbol? Might have to look that shit up. It looked like a constellation. Ursa Major. I don't know. You gotta get Wyatt the fuck up out of there. Oh, shit. Pumpkinhead. God damn. They did that host dirty.
You have is I draw their fire. Lead them up into the hills. You can make it back.
You gonna pull out your gun, dummy? But I know what Wyatt said is important. The whole, it doesn't belong to the natives
He's vectoring.
or the settlers.
Markings on its shell. Look like stars.
Yeah, like a constellation. That's what I was thinking. Orion, okay. That's what I was thinking. It was clearly some stars.
Why is this host covered? Perhaps you didn't want him to feel cold or ashamed. You wanted to cover his modesty. Doesn't feel a solitary thing.
I knew that's how he drilled that into them. This is confirming shit that I picked up on. Because the Bernard and the young girl, if you even hinted that it had a human trait, they looked at each other crazy. Like, what you talking about? But that makes sense. He drilled that into them.
For 3 years, we lived here in the park, refining the host before a single guest set foot inside. Myself, a team of engineers, and my partner.
You had a partner.
Yeah. When the legend becomes fact, you print the legend. My business partners were more than happy to scrub him from the records, and I suppose I didn't discourage them.
Holy shit. They did a good job on that.
He imagined it as a pyramid. Memory, improvisation, self-interest, the bicameral mind.
The idea that primitive man believed his thoughts to be the voice of the gods.
Heard their programming as an inner monologue, with the hopes that in time their own voice would take over.
Oh, he was trying to kickstart.
Arnold hadn't considered two things. One, that in this place, the last thing you want the hosts to be is conscious. And two, the other group who considered their thoughts to be the voices of the gods.
Lunatics. If I may ask, what happened to him?
Well, he died. Here in the park. We called it an accident, but I knew Arnold. He was very, very careful. Forgive me, but I know that the death of your son, Charlie, still weighs heavily on you.
Yeah, I knew he died. Once he said it was someplace she wouldn't understand. My thing, though, is if Arnold had put that code in there so long ago, why you just now getting to an update to fix it? It's more to that story than that. Oh, well, what's her name? Gina Torres? Lawrence Fishburne wife? Yeah, whoever in the comments said it's the acting Olympics. Yeah, these motherfuckers all acted their ass off. Wait a minute. It just hit me. Some of them become lunatics and think those voices in their head are from God. Wyatt thinks God is talking to him. Oh, man. This show is blowing my mind, and I'm trying to pay attention to the present, but I keep thinking about other shit. I'm trying to connect it. Yeah, I'll fuck with this. What? The fuck? What the fuck? Holy shit. This man Wyatt started a cult.
Imagine there are two versions of yourself. One that feels these things and asks these questions, and one that's safe. Which would you rather be?
I'm trying, but I still don't understand.
Right? You can't ask her that. You're God in this situation.
Do you still want to change me back?
No, Dolores.
Of course not.
Let's see where this path leads.
Ugh, it's gonna get ugly. That's still kind of crazy to me. To allow her to evolve and innovate and do all these things, but she gotta stay on that loop. See, that's interesting. She still stays in the loop, but now she can do whatever she wants in her response and her reaction and her thought process. Oh, she remembers Abernathy. I don't know how I didn't realize that was him before. What? Can she pull it though now? Yep. The voice let her know. She tripped and fell. Oh man, she went full white girl. Oh. He don't want his head to be taken. Dolores. Okay. Okay. Wow. That was interesting. So Bernard is dealing with trauma. He's dealing with the tragedy of his son dying. Not sure how he died yet, but his son passed away. And I figured that his son had something tragic had happened by his response to Dolores asking unprompted, where's his son? And basically Bernard insinuated she wouldn't understand the place. But then Bernard's response to her was, what made you ask that? And I knew that he had an issue with that before because in the last episode, Dolores asked him if he had done something bad. And his immediate response was, hey, shut that down, erase this conversation. Like he wanted to move on to the next thing. And my first thought was, okay, she's not supposed to ask this. So he's thinking something's wrong. But turns out she is supposed to ask that. She's supposed to carry on conversations. The issue was he's afraid that other people are, because he keeps asking, has anyone, basically spoke with you or communicated with you or done a diagnostic? I can't really recall the words. And she says no, but he's worried about that. So when he asked her, why'd you ask me that? He's trying to see if she was told to ask something about him. And what also allowed me to understand that was when Bernard has the meeting with Ford, Ford insinuates that Bernard he's doing that forbidden thing. This is their number one rule. Don't treat them as humans. And Ford is like, don't do that. And he insinuates he may do that. And he may have the want to do that because of the tragedy with his child. So that was interesting. Then we go into Dolores back in the park, and I can't recall the guy's name, but the guy with the hat, the white hat, I guess you would call him. He's and when I say white hat, I don't mean the newcomer with the white hat. I'm talking about Dolores's boyfriend, basically. He plays the good guy character, and they reenacted that scene they had done in the first episode, where I assumed that he was a newcomer because he had gotten off the train, but they were just going through their motion. They were going through their loop. They did it again, and she was thrown off because she asked him when they would be able to go or something of that nature, and he said someday, and she was like, someday? That's not good enough for me. Let's just go right now. And that happened multiple times. There was another time, I can't recall off the top of my head. Oh, man. Where someone had said someday. Oh, no. This is the other time that it took place was. Man, I can't recall. But it happened a couple times, and she was having an issue with that. Man, so many things happened. So then we also have the white hat that is a newcomer who's there with his brother-in-law. He finally wants to join in on the game. I mean, it approached him. He was right there. He saw bounties and everything. He saw the girl who keeps hitting on him. He don't want to kiss no whore in the mouth. He also is about to get married, so he's like, he don't want to do that. He's like, yo, you know what? Let me participate in this game. He gets shot. He gets his ass blowed off. And my first inclination was, yo, did he get shot? But then I recalled them saying, oh, you can't die. So he got shot, it turns out, but it does give you some force, but it does not kill you. Okay. He ends up joining in on a bounty. That's dope. He's gonna join in. His brother-in-law though is a dickhead. My man just came from fucking, and he was like, man, let's go get some bitches. That's just crazy. I want to see where that goes. Like I said, I believe I said this. At some point, they're gonna end up crossing paths with the Man in Black. I really do believe that. Ford, he spoke to Dolores's boyfriend, and he does an airdrop of some new information into him to get his story kickstarted. And his story involves a sergeant named Wyatt. And the sergeant, he was in his platoon. He was his soldier. He was Dolores's boyfriend was Wyatt's soldier. And it turns out Wyatt lost his mind, thought God was talking to him, just became a deserter, and now he's just a killer. They kept speaking about him during the game as being like not human. You know, the line he said basically was, he's not human, but he's also not devil, because the devil can't be killed. He was like, and that's just what I'm going to do to him. That was pretty dope. But so that's the storyline. But then the storyline goes crazy, because as they're out there going to search for Wyatt, it's nighttime, and all that's left is Dolores's boyfriend and his female sidekick, and they get surrounded by a cult that's just dressed weirdly, because it was so dark you can't really make out exactly what they were wearing, but it looks crazy. It almost looks like it's not from that time period, but I'm sure it's like a bunch of like beaver skins and bear skins, but I couldn't really make it out. But they weren't using guns at that point. Like, they had been firing on them earlier, but at this point, man, they was using axes and clubs and all knives and stuff. So that's insane, whatever Ford has going on with that storyline. So Ford was a creator alongside a man named Arnold. And the reason Arnold's name came up was because they saw the malfunctioning host who had gone on that killing spree in the last episode. I mean, he's killing a ton of people, and he's drinking milk. He's guzzling it. He has bullet holes in him. He drinks the milk, comes out the bullet holes. And turns out he had killed 6 people who had killed him in previous storylines. But he keeps bringing up the name Arnold. And so I was like, that's weird. I'm thinking we're not going to get an answer on that. But we get it this episode, and it's so interesting. My mind was blown by it so much that I had to rewind a couple scenes because I kept focusing on it. So Arnold was dealing with his own demons. He had suffered tragedy and stuff in his life. And that leads back to why Ford thought maybe Bernard would start doing that, viewing him as human, because Arnold had done that. And Arnold's whole thing was he believed that he can get these things to have a consciousness like humans. And he had a whole pyramid set up. And there was, I believe, self-realization was the run right below the tip. It almost was like I took Psych 101 and they had that pyramid, and at the top was like self-actualization. This was like that, but we never got to see what the tip is. And I don't know if they've already hinted at it, but I'm really interested in what the top of the pyramid for their consciousness of the host is. But Arnold, they spoke about this theory where I guess early humans thought that their thoughts were voices from God, were voices of God. And he wanted to reenact this. Arnold wanted to reenact this. So he attempted to implant the voices in them. And the voices he set them as an inner monologue. But this is crazy because the theory is, in humans, we thought it was God. So he puts it into the host and somehow didn't think that they would ever think it was the voices of God. The lunatics, as they called them. And they showed a chick, she had scratched herself up. Like, they made a point to show her. She was one of the original ones They were showing her how to dance and look, but she had scratched herself up. She was crazy. So some of them, it was pushing them forward. It was moving them ahead. But some of them, it was driving them insane. That was fucking crazy. And then you have Arnold, who he was fully invested in this. He wanted these things to evolve into a state of consciousness that humans have. And I saw early on, I picked up on this like immediately when Bernard and his young assistant speak. They look at each other crazy if you refer to anything about them being human. I mean, she said something about them having a virus. He looked at her. She said something about, oh, maybe they're insane or something to that effect. He was like, they can't go insane. So that's a big thing. And it turns out it comes from the top. Ford don't play that. Arnold was the weak link in that early process. And you can see that Bernard and the shareholder, Ford and the shareholders think that because they wiped them away from history. Ford still has a picture of him and Arnold, and it's like, man, this is insane to me. It's like they were hinting at it this whole time, and I just never suspected that Bernard would flip like that. Even when he had that whole speech, I thought that was just him getting it out of his system. And the reason I didn't think that is because that's so dangerous. If you're going to do this, for me, if you're going to deal in this park, you either deal in it or don't. Because what Bernard did is dangerous. He sent that girl back in there. He allowed her to, I can't remember the word he used, but it's basically he's going to allow her to come up with her own mindset. She's not going to use scripted things from the code. Okay, she's not going to use scripted things from the code. But then while he's leaving, he goes, hey, make sure you stay in the loop. The fuck? That's horrible. But I don't think he realizes that she's memorizing all these things. Because Maeve is having that same issue too. Maeve just in my mind, there's no way those two guys that were working on Maeve in the last episode didn't erase her memory. There's no way. They had to have done that. And so I'm just going to say maybe she's going through the same thing that Dolores is, where it's stuck in her and something is keeping it going. But because Bernard doesn't know that it's happening to Dolores, she's already starting at insanity. Like, she's not starting at regular and she's going to work her way up. No, she's already insane. And that's fucked up. But now she has to live this same thing over and over. Like, when she's there and she realizes, oh shit, they about to do that. Well, I don't think she realized it then when she pulled up and she saw the stairs walking around. But she did realize once she was in, for sure, when she's in the barn. She's in the barn and she has that flashback of the man in black. Is it in her code not to be able to fire weapons? Is that why she was having a hard time? Because she ended up overcoming it, but she had that memory. Okay, if that wasn't enough, you think, oh, that was so traumatic for her. That's why it's in there. No. Then we get to, there's this other random guy she gets shot by in her memory. She memorized that, but it didn't happen this time because she remembered. Man, that's such a fucked up thing. Like, I know he's like, he wants to allow them to, I don't know if saying seek humanity, if he wants to allow them to seek humanity or seek consciousness, or be becoming full sentient beings. It's just, that's fucked up. I mean, that's horrifying what she's going to go through. Because she has those memories. She also has that gun that somebody did. Okay, I do have a question. Maybe someone can answer this for me. It says that Arnold had the code that put the voices in the head. What I'm wondering is, were they using this same base code and building on it? And so now these even modern hosts uh have it in their have voices in their head? Because that would explain why some of this is happening. Or was it just something from the past? Because a lot of those older ones, like Abernathy and the one guy who was in a bunch of stories, a lot of these older ones, it seems, Def for sure had that voice in their head. And my thing is, why hadn't Ford already taken care of that with an update? You know what I mean? Like, there's more to it than that. It can't be that simple. Oh, it's just voices in their head from Arnold because he was doing it. Nah, it has to be some other shit. I know for a fact I'm missing some things. It was so much. That was a dense fucking episode. That was dense. Like, holy shit. But yeah, man, I'm fucking with this. Like, I was going to watch another episode, but I gotta, I really do gotta think. I don't. Oh, and to the person who said that he had read somewhere that it was the acting Olympics. Yeah, these motherfuckers acting their ass off. With Bernard talking to his wife, I think it was his ex-wife maybe, about their son. He was acting his ass off. It wasn't over the top. It just seemed so, man, it seemed like a man who had been dealing with it for a while. He's not sobbing, he's not, but it's weighing a ton on him. And then everyone who's playing a host is killing it. Thandie Newton, that little part where she remembered seeing all those bodies. I mean, the look on her face, the expression, it was like, man. But yeah, I'm liking this. This was good. Next episode.